Hello, Rogelio here and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share to you the United States ABCs, a book about the people and places of the United States of America, written by Schroeder and illustrated by Yesh. Welcome to the United States of America. The United States is a huge country in North America. It is the richest country in the world. More than 280 million people live in the United States. It is ranked third in world population. Fast fact: the United States does not have an official language, though most people speak English. Spanish is the second most spoken language. A is for automobiles. About 100 years ago, Americans made the first automobiles that could use in daily life. Today, more cars zip along US roads than in any other country. The United States is also one of the two biggest automobile producers in the world. This is how cars looked in the early 1900s. B is for baseball. About 50 million Americans go to Major League Baseball games every year, and millions more watch the games on TV. Children often start playing baseball even before they go to school. The country's love of baseball is so famous that the sport has been nicknamed the Great American Pastime. Fast fact: people in the United States began playing baseball in the mid-1800s. The first professional team, called Cincinnati Red Stockings, was formed in 1869. C is for Constitution. In 1787, the United States had recently won its independence from Great Britain. Now, 13 original states needed to decide what kind of government would rule their new country. Representatives from the states met in Philadelphia. They created the Constitution of the United States. This remarkable document outlines the U.S. government as it is known today. D is for dollar. The dollar is the United States' basic unit of money. Dollars come in 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, and $100 bills. A dollar is made up of 100 cents. Common U.S. coins are the penny or 1 cent, nickel 5 cents, dime 10 cents, and quarter 25 cents. Fast fact: for a short time in 1934 and 1935, Treasury printed a $100,000 bill. That bill featured the picture of former President Woodrow Wilson. E is for eagle. The bald eagle soars only in the skies of North America. This huge, powerful bird was chosen as the national bird by the country's early leaders. 30 years ago, the bald eagle was almost nearly extinct. Since then, the government has worked to protect the eagle. Today, this rare bird is making a comeback. F is for farmers. American farmers work with some of the richest soil in the world. They use scientific farming methods and huge machines to grow tons of food. Fewer than 2% of Americans are farmers, but they grow enough food to feed the whole country with plenty extra to sell to other countries. Fast fact: in the early days of the country, most families lived on small farms. G is for Grand Canyon. 6 million years ago, the Colorado River began sweeping away tiny bits of the stone that formed its banks. Over time, the river carved out of the most spectacular landforms in the world, the Grand Canyon. The huge canyon is 1 mile or 1.6 kilometers deep in some places. Fast fact: hikers can make the difficult walk down the canyon on steep, winding trails. Some people ride mules down the camp overnight on the canyon's floor. H is for Hollywood. The Hollywood's huge sign stands on a hill in Southern California. The sign is a famous landmark of this town, which is considered the movie capital of the world. Each year, millions of tourists come to Hollywood to visit studios where movies are filmed. The tourists stroll down the Hollywood's Walk of Fame in hopes of seeing a movie star. I is for immigrants. Immigrants are people who have left their homelands to live in other countries. The United States is a nation of immigrants. People from just about every in the world live here. Many came looking for work in rich country. Others sought freedom from troubles in their own lands. This statue, called the Statue of Liberty, stands in New York's harbor. For many immigrants, it has represented the freedom of their new country. J is for jazz. Many people say jazz is the only art form that began in the United States. Black musicians in New Orleans, Louisiana, developed jazz about 100 years ago. These musicians would surprise listeners by inventing some of the music as they went along. This part of jazz, called improvisation, is one of the things that make this music so original. Louis Armstrong was one of the most famous jazz musicians. K is for Martin Luther King Jr. I have a dream. This word marks one of the most famous speeches in American history. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke these words to a huge crowd in Washington, D.C. in 1963. King's dream was that black people and white people could live side by side as equals. King was an important civil rights leader. He was murdered in 1968, but many people are carrying on his dream today. Fast fact: King's birthday is a national holiday in the United States. It is celebrated on the third Monday of January. L is for Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln is one of the most admired presidents in the American history. He led the country during the Civil War, 1861 to 1865, when the southern states tried to break away from the United States and become their own country. He also helped free black slaves in the South. This statue of Abraham Lincoln is 19 feet 5.8 meters high. It is part of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. M is for Mayflower. 1620, 102 English people sailed across the Atlantic Ocean on the ship called the Mayflower. They were in search of a new life in the land that was to become the United States. These early settlers or pilgrims landed on the coast of what is now Massachusetts. Fast fact: the first winter in their new land was hard on the settlers. About half of the original 102 died from cold and lack of food. N is for Navajo Indians. Navajo Indians are one of the many nations of American Indians that have been living in North America for thousands of years. As European settlers arrived, they eventually took over almost all of the Indians' land. Today, most Navajo lived on their own reservation in the Southwest. It is the country's biggest Indian reservation. Fast fact: beautiful turquoise jewelry and woven rugs are specialties of Navajo artists. O is for outer space. The U.S. space program began in 1958. It has launched many rockets into outer space. In 1969, Neil Armstrong became the first person to walk on the moon. Unmanned U.S. spacecraft had landed on Mars and circled other planets and asteroids. Astronauts wear space suits when they go outside the spacecraft. The suits provide air for breathing. They protect astronauts from the sun's harmful rays. P is for popcorn. Popcorn, popsicles, and potato chips are all foods that originated in the United States. Today, pizza is an American favorite too, though pizza originally came from Italy. Like many foods eaten in the United States, pizza was introduced to Americans by immigrants. Fast fact: popcorn was introduced to pilgrims by the American Indians and was eaten at the first Thanksgiving. Q is for Quakers. Quakers came to colonial America from England in the 1600s. They came seeking freedom to practice their religion. Today, more Quakers live in the United States than any other country. Throughout American history, Quakers have been known for being against war. Unlike other white settlers, Quakers were quick to make peace with their Indian neighbors. Fast fact: most Americans are Christian. Muslims belong to Islam, the fastest growing religion in the country. R is for redwoods. Thick forests of giant redwood trees grow along the coast of California. As high as skyscrapers, the trees are the tallest in the world. Their thick trunks are as wide as cars. Fast fact: the United States has many different kinds of forests. Forests still cover about 1/3 of the land. S is for Stars and Stripes. Stars and Stripes is a nickname of the U.S. flag. The 13 red and white stripes stands for the 13 original colonies. The 50 stars represents the 50 states. The first flag had just 13 stars. The design has changed many times as more states have been added. T is for tornadoes. These dangerous storms look like long, twisting clouds that stretch from the ground into the sky. The United States has more tornadoes than any other country. Most tornadoes last only a few minutes, but in that short time, they can lift cars, houses in the air and destroy entire towns. Fast fact: Tornado Alley refers to a region of Midwestern and Southern states. Most tornadoes happen here, particularly in Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa. U is for United Nations. After World War II, 1939 to 1945, the United States and other countries decided that such a horrible war must never happen again. So they started an organization called the United Nations, or UN. Almost every country belongs to the United Nations. Its goal is to bring peace to the world. This picture shows the United Nations headquarters in New York City. The flags of all 191 member countries fly outside. V is for voting. On election day, Americans vote for the country's leaders. Voters line up outside polling places in their neighborhoods. A polling place can be a school, a church, or even a local fire station. Voters stand in booths where they can make their choice in private. Fast fact: black men were given the right to vote in 1870. Women were not allowed to vote until 1920. W is for Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is the country's capital. It was named after George Washington, the first U.S. president. In 1791, George Washington chose the city's location in eastern part of the country, between Maryland and Virginia. The U.S. president lived in this building called the White House. The White House is at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. X is for exports. The United States exports or sells huge amounts of food to other countries. In fact, it is the biggest food exporter in the world. Car parts, computers, and airplanes are other important exports. Fast fact: the United States is by far the richest country in the world. The total value of its goods and services in 1 year is twice as much as of Japan, which is the second richest country. Y is for Yellowstone. Deep inside the earth under Yellowstone National Park lies a huge pool of melted rock. Water seeps down into this hot spot. The water heats up quickly, then explodes through narrow cracks in the ground. These explosions of water, called geysers, are the park's most famous attraction. This geyser called Old Faithful is Yellowstone Park. Old Faithful has erupted several times a day for the last several decades. Z is for zipper. The United States is known for its many inventions. The zipper was invented by an American in 1893. Other American inventions include everything from the light bulb and the internet to cola and blue jeans. Fast fact: the zipper got its name from the sound it makes as it pulled up and down. There you have it, boys and girls. I hope you have learned something today. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this video to your friends and families. Till next time, bye!